All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're... All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
Oh, thank you. The Friday recorded audience is my favorite recorded audience. Nice to have you all in the mix. Believe it or not, it is a special day. I know, we have all the regulars. It'll be look at the week in politics with Michael Shure, Jim Avila. Albert is here. Kim is here today.
Albert, thank you. Kim, how are you?
I'm oddly not here.
What?
I know. Sadly, there's a memorial service for a good friend of mine who passed away, and I just can't be here today. I got to really show the love to his family. A brilliant man, and this is just a little trivia thing. The Spanish teacher, I think I may have mentioned him on the show before, for Johnny Carson, Tim Conway, Ella Fitzgerald, Herb Alpert, they all had this same Spanish teacher. Oscar Smooch is his name. And he, from Argentina, speaks with this beautiful accent, was brilliant. And today is his memorial service, so that's where I'm going to be today. His story is amazing. I mean, his life story is amazing. Fled Russia, ended up in Argentina, fled the Soviet, the scourge of the rise of Soviet domination, and then from Argentina ended up in this country and distinguished himself, as I say, in this scene of luminaries as this professor of Spanish, and taught me Spanish. I took Spanish pretty seriously for about 5 years, but I was, sadly, I never really got the mastery that I'd hoped to get. I really think you need to sort of immerse yourself in a language to really get mastery over it. So in a perfect world, I'd go to Mexico City or to Barcelona and I'd live for a month. Of course, I may have to go to those places and live for a lot longer than that.
What?
Given the way the country is headed. But I am at his memorial service today. So Kim and Albert will run things. And as they say, the culture blaster, Michael Snyder, will be here as is typical. And it should be a great, great day. But I did want to, I wanted to say hi, and I wanted to let you know that I'm grateful for you being here. And it should be a great Friday show. So without any further delay, I'll let you guys get into it,
Feel it in your soul. The Mark Thompson Show.
So Mark is not here today, but we have a great show planned for you. Albert has really spared no expense in putting together a Friday Fabulous Florida, and I saw the call for an expanded Friday Fabulous Florida. Where is it? CBD, can we have a double dose of Friday Fabulous Florida today? I think that you actually did that before it was even asked for. So this is fantastic. We'll have a great Friday Fabulous Florida. Jim Avila and Michael Shure with This Week in Politics will be here. Michael Snyder has a big chunk of movies and streaming options to talk about. So it's going to be a really good show. Thank you for spending your Friday morning with us. Albert, how is the status post birthday, the day after? Are you all right?
I'm normal, all good. I worked last night. I worked my normal job.
Okay.
So I celebrated the day before. It was easier for me and my family. So
okay. So you come to this not with a birthday hangover.
No, just a normal work day for me yesterday. Maybe I'm growing up, Kim. I'm finally growing up.
Did you spend some time on your birthday watching South Park?
I saw a bunch of the clips. I saw Kristi Noem's face melt off. I saw her, I saw it was really good. Yeah. All the clips are very good.
Well, here's the thing about Kristi Noem. She made herself into this caricature of a person. with the shooting of the puppies and the heavy makeup, she if you look at pictures of her from several years ago, she really looks nothing like what she looks now. She underwent a massive transformation, and she has become what appears to me to be one of the villains of the Trump administration. She's mean. She's a mean girl, right? And so they have taken her and gone absolutely savage with the poking fun at Kristi Noem. She's pushing back. She says it's lazy to make fun of someone's appearance. That South Park, she hasn't watched it, she doesn't care, but they show her with heavy makeup, hair extensions, makeup sliding off of her face, melting. Uh, they have a shotgun in her hand. She's shooting puppies. It's pretty brutal what they have, how they depict her in this. And I guess the question I have for folks in the chat is, do you think that's warranted? Did South Park go over the line? Are they being mean? Or has Kristi Noem done this to herself and opened herself up for this type of criticism? Did South Park get it right? I mean, it's a caricature. It's a satire of who she is, but there's some truth in it.
Yeah, I don't think it's more of a like making fun of her looks. I think that's part of it, but I think I like the subtleties, like when she shot the dog in the theater, and then when she's just posing, obviously, for in these horrible places. Like that's
Right.
what she's basically doing. She's having like a photo op and trying to look great and trying to pose. Just posing in these situations is very like
Horrible.
inappropriate. Yeah.
Right. Very tone deaf. Americans seem to be liking this, Albert, because South Park is seeing its viewership numbers surge. The second episode of this show drew an initial audience of 838,000 viewers on Comedy Central, which is nearly double the season's premiere's initial number. And it's the third most initial viewership number for an episode in the last 3 seasons. So people are tuning in. People want to know what this is about. And I think South Park has hit a nerve. And does that say something about the Trump administration, what's going on, how people are feeling about the Trump administration, because they want some comic relief from all of this? There she is with her gun. Yeah. They have her shooting puppies. They have her makeup sliding off. It's pretty rough.
I mean, the whole the scene. If you haven't seen it, this part of the clip, it's them crashing a Dora the Explorer kind of like a live show for kids. Obviously, it's for kids, and then they're just busting in, and it's just chaos. And I think South Park most completely is objective. Like they just make fun of things that are ridiculous, and this is clearly ridiculous. So I think there's like they're trying to politicize this, obviously. I think that's their favorite play, the GOP. But I think ridiculous, the right side, left side, they will make fun of it.
So Kristi Noem says, Albert, if they wanted to criticize my job, go ahead and do that. But they can't, she said. They just pick something petty like her appearance. I would argue they did criticize her job. I mean, they have her crashing into Dora the Explorer. That's very accurate as far as comparison of what she's doing, crashing into Home Depots and arresting nannies and whatever else. And as far as making fun of her looks, well, she's the one that got all dolled up and stood in front of the prison bars at that horrible, awful prison in El Salvador. She's the one that does these photo ops everywhere. So she's the one that made her appearance par for the course in this type of scenario. I don't know. I tend to think they got it right. And the fact that there's so much interest speaks volumes. Let's go to the chat, see what people have to say about it. Yeah, Agolf says they criticized her job and her Botox. Both. Heidi says, when you're a public figure, you should expect criticism from all aspects of the media. This is particularly brutal, but I would agree. You have to expect that people are going to go after you. The Diana says she changed her appearance, so you know she's not happy with the way she looks.
And the shooting of the animal is very rough and very unfortunate, but she did put all of that in her book. She documented that, and that in itself is very ridiculous.
Donald says the picture of Noem reminds me of those scary come to life movie dolls. It's true. It really does. So I don't know. I see Wes says, I think that the thing that bothers the MAGA the most will be that their kids' friends will see the South Park and make fun of the parents, make fun of the Trumpers for voting. There it is. Yeah, there's the sliding face. She wears the makeup like a mask. She really does. And so here's the mask sliding off. Something else Kristi Noem is doing is coming up with these cute, kitschy names for detention centers, which now we know are allegations of horrible things happening at these ICE detention centers. So, of course, you know, you've heard Alligator Alcatraz. Now she says to the people of Indiana that have overstayed their welcome here in America, you could be going to the Speedway Slammer. What is it? Why do we need these names for these places? Does she think it makes it cool? Like Alligator Alcatraz, the Speedway Slammer, look at us. We're hip, we're cool. If you are in America illegally, she writes, you could find yourself in Indiana's Speedway Slammer. This is what she puts on X. And then the Department of Homeland Security shares the image of a race car. The race car has ICE lettering on it and a number 5, which is the number for a Mexican driver in the IndyCar series. And it's 70, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, I guess, is 75 miles from this Speedway Slammer. They are partnering with agencies in Indiana to detain as many as 1,000 immigrants at the correctional facility. So I don't know. I just feel like we don't need cute names for these places. Just call it the Indiana Detention Center and we're fine. It doesn't make it any better to say you're in the Speedway Slammer. And it's very insensitive for her to give these names to these places as well. Like completely bypassing what happens inside and who these people are and how they just lost everything that they created when they were here in America. Now, I know she doesn't care about that, but at least she could have some empathy as she carries out these new laws. Maybe I'm asking for too much, but it's a bridge too far. Does it matter to you that she's naming all these places? They're supposed to be building one of the largest detention centers here in California. What will they call it? I mean, imagine, pick the most insensitive name you can think of. And that's what I mean about her being a mean girl, right? Not thinking about how other people are feeling, not thinking about anything other than pleasing Trump and getting to be
just the ridiculousness of everything that they're doing, splitting families, getting doing these unspeakable things just for just on basic humanity that they're doing, and she's
exactly
offended by her South Park depiction. I mean, it's equally warranted.
I just, you think about what people are going through in these places. As you mentioned, they're separated from their families. They probably have lost their jobs because now they're not able to go to work, and many of them will be fired if they don't show up. They don't have access to anything that they had in their life, their money. They have no access to attorneys. They're going through one of the worst times in their lives right now. But let's call it the Speedway Slammer. Nudge, nudge. Isn't that funny? Isn't that cute? It's She's a mean girl. She's a mean.
Yeah,
It's
just
Heather.
keep on
It's
naming
Heather's come to
things,
life.
keep on splitting families, keep on being
Mm-mm.
weird about it, and South Park's gonna keep on making fun of, because everything South Park's been doing is just making fun of facts,
Yep.
parroting every factual thing that they've been doing. So
that's Kristi
horrible.
Noem. There she is, and she's all armed. She's armed, ready to go. Crazy. Did you hear, Albert, that we had a little meltdown overnight in the White House? Yeah. There was apparently a middle of the night meltdown over Jeff Duncan. He is the former lieutenant governor of Georgia who officially switched parties last week, mostly because of Trump. He was a Republican. He's now a Democrat. And Trump is mad about it. So he goes onto Truth Social just after 1 a.m. and he writes, failed former Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan of Georgia is a total loser. Duncan has been calling out the president's lies about the 2020 election. He's been an outspoken critic. He's finally changed parties. Trump wrote, he was never able to get anything done. All he ever did was complain. We didn't want him in the Republican Party any longer, so I'm told he became a Democrat. Well, good riddance, Jeff. You don't even have a chance. Duncan was expelled by the state GOP and announced this week that he's officially become a Democrat. We have video of Jeff Duncan as well on News Nation.
What makes you think Democrats, and I say this respectfully, want you?
Well, I think it's a two-part story. I think one is Donald Trump is that bad, but he's in charge. And we watch that play out on our TV screens and in our lives every minute of every day. If you're trying to sit there and hold on to Medicaid, or your kid goes to school and gets a free or reduced lunch, and SNAP programs have gotten cut by $200 billion, and you just go down the list, then you're disenfranchised. But also, I think Democrats are going through a shift, at least the ones I'm talking to, the ones that are trying to find a way to live outside the extremes. The Republicans are camped out in the extreme on the right, and Democrats have an opportunity here. There's chaos on the battlefield for sure, but if Democrats can embrace a more moderate platform, one that actually solves real problems, and my gravitational pull to the Democratic Party is it gives me a better chance to be creative. The Democrats need to be the party of ideas. They need to solve real people's problems, people that are scared to death about tomorrow's paycheck or
well,
their
it's not.
health insurance.
You keep referring to Democrats as some amorphous group. You are now a Democrat, and I hasten to say this, but the very first words out of your mouth when I asked the question wasn't about what you wanted to do, but it was about Donald Trump.
Well, I think that's part of the wake-up call. You asked about were they ready to embrace a change, and I think that's part of the wake-up call. You can't just go the status quo and continue to get beat. I mean, I look here in Georgia. If we elect a far-left candidate as a Democrat in the primary, then we'll essentially have Governor Donald Trump, because we'll have a MAGA Republican as the next governor of Georgia and lead us directly into the ditch. We won't have the safeguards of having a more moderate Brian Kemp. So, look, if Democrats want to wake up and embrace a more moderate platform, one that actually solves real problems, goes to work, rolls their sleeves up, takes input, is able to agree to disagree on some of the fringe issues, then I think they have an unbelievable opportunity to step up to the plate and meet Donald Trump right where he deserves to be, and that's in the loser's lane.
That sounds an awful lot like a guy who's thinking about running for governor as a Democrat.
Well, look, my phone's been ringing for a long time from folks both on the left and the middle and even some on the right that are wanting to figure out a way to get somebody that can solve real problems and have real solutions and be able to bring them to work with them each and every day and turn chaos into conversations. I'm certainly thinking about it. I've certainly got an inner circle gathered, friends, family, and advisors trying to figure out, is there a way forward for this state? Is there a candidate for me to support, or is it maybe that candidate going to be me? We're going to make those decisions in the coming days, but for now, I think this transition over to being a Democrat is one that's taken time.
About this transition, about today?
The overwhelming support. I've gotten text messages, phone calls, emails from Democrats. I've gotten same from Republicans, from folks that I didn't know what they were, that are encouraging me to do the right thing. Because at the end of the day, Leland, just like
did he just chit? I believe he did. He just chitted. Yeah, that's right. The chit spreads far and wide. Look at that.
Leland, Just like I talked about in that.
Okay, now we have to like Jeff Duncan. Absolutely.
I don't
Yeah,
know. He seemed like he was kind of stuttering a
convention
little
that you
bit.
mentioned, to do
That's
the
fair.
right thing. Because at the end of the day, Leland, just
No.
like I talked about in that
No,
convention that you mentioned.
that was a clear
coaster
chit
that I held
chit.
up, doing the right thing.
No, I think he was trying to say just, but he said ja. So
I think the other guy was trying to cut him off, and so he chitted him, Albert. I mean,
maybe we'll see what the chat says, but
I think he full on chitted. Give me one more hit of it.
Never be the wrong. Just like I talked about in that convention that you mentioned, that coaster that I held up, doing the right thing will never be the wrong thing. This is the right thing for Jeff Duncan. It may not be the right thing for everybody. I just think this puts me in the best possible position to love my neighbor. If I care about them having.
let me try to find it again. I might have gone.
Now we
doing the
lost
right thing
it.
will never be the wrong thing. This is the right thing for Jeff Duncan. It may not be the right thing for everybody. I just think this puts me in the best possible position to love my neighbor. If I care about.
I'll have to look for it on the side.
All
I
right.
can't find it right now.
I think I heard a chit. So Jeff Duncan, boy, does he really piss off Donald Trump. You saw there's speculation that Duncan could run for governor as a Democrat in 2026. Kemp is not able to be reelected because of term limits in that state. But Duncan has said that Donald Trump completely controls the entire GOP. He said the only example I can give that equates to it is like a rogue cult leader coming into a church and taking it over, that he has brainwashed them. Does Jeff Duncan make sense when he says the way forward for Democrats is to become moderates? That if we elect or go for these progressives like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, right? Who's is great, but very, very progressive and may not appeal to people who are kind of hovering in the middle. Is he right about that? Do we have to go and find these moderate candidates, or is he just making the case for himself?
I can't speak for Mark, but I think Mark has been advocating and saying this for
that we
the
have
left
to go
side.
Moderate. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think Jeff Duncan could achieve success. The question is, when you look at what he believes in, is he really still believing in some conservative ideals? And is that okay? What are we willing to accept? There are Democrats that are against the freedom of choice. Everyone comes into their own political ideologies. They pick and choose some of what they like and what they don't. So I guess, does that appeal to a wider Democratic audience? Yeah.
We do acknowledge that they do need a shakeup. They need to try something new. It's weird because do we want to use the tactics that the GOP is using? Do we want to lean into being, I don't want to say this woke, but like this whole like being inclusive and all that? Like, how are we gonna bridge the gap that there's a clear disconnect with? I don't want to say extreme being an extreme Democrat, but they have to kind of pander for the middle, for the moderates that kind of swung over to Trump's side of the last election.
Inlay says, yeah, he's right. Cortez is way too far left. I don't copyright infringement on chit. That's funny, Santi. Yeah, I don't know. I think that we may see more candidates like this pop up. And also, Albert, if you have people, in this case, kind of kicked out of the Republican Party, but Republicans turning into Democrats, does it show MAGA that may be disillusioned and too embarrassed to admit that maybe they got it wrong, that it's okay to come to the other side, that it's okay to admit that maybe, things that Trump is doing and will continue to do is not the direction we want to go for America, take America in? I'm hopeful. Jeff Duncan makes me hopeful.
I'm hoping so we can have something different than this. Even traditional Republicans aren't even acknowledging the current state of being Republicans. Like all the old school ones aren't even accepting anything Trump is doing, or they are supporting anything of Trump. So
yeah,
if we could get them to, I don't know, not completely hop over, but they are allies for the Democratic Party.
They sure are. John says moderate is good for Georgia, not good for everywhere. I mean, maybe you're not going to see a moderate governor of California, but we'll take a moderate in Georgia. We'll take a moderate in, pick a state, Colorado, Texas. I don't know. Michael says, if they're against the right to choose, they're not Democrats. Really? I mean, they could be Democrats in every other sense, but just because they may have a religious aversion or stance on that issue, they don't get to be a Democrat. I think we have to open ourselves up to differing opinions within the party. And if we accept more moderates and we swing back from being so progressive and kind of meet in the middle, then we're going to have to accept people with different thoughts on issues like this. I mean, I'm not advocating for that. I'm pro-choice all the way, hardcore, and it's been one of my key issues. But I would rather have someone, if we're talking about for president, that is a reasonable individual who isn't going to do all the things that have been done, that is against choice for themselves and their family, who won't try to infringe on my choice, but who carries that stance. I think it depends on the person, but I don't think we can be too hasty on this. That's not going to work, I think, if we want to win. It seems to me. There's a text from Greg who says they can try to build a detention center in California, but do you think the governor will go for that? I think it doesn't matter. There are federal properties in California, and I think the federal government can do what they want, despite Governor Gavin Newsom likely being against it on that issue.
They're already doing that with all the raids, so...
Yeah. That's what it seems like to me. But yeah, Trump not happy about that. And anything that makes him freak out and text in the middle of the night brings me great joy. So there's that. Something else I wanted to talk about before we get to Friday Fabulous Florida is Trump going after Letitia James. He is not doing the work of the people. Trump is doing the work for himself. And here we go again with Trump having his Justice, his Department of Justice, not a neutral, independent Department of Justice, which is how it's supposed to be, opening an investigation into the New York Attorney General who led the fraud case against him, Letitia James. Remember, she took no Trump crap at all. So, apparently they are getting subpoenas for documents related to her fraud case against Donald Trump. He is going after her. He will go after anyone who he believes wronged him. And this is not justice. Again, this is not what the American people wants. This is, as Mark calls it, the Trump retribution tour, the Trump anger tour, the you piss Trump off, get ready to pay tour. And so now, Letitia James has been subpoenaed for documents for information related to her successful civil fraud case against Trump. Remember, he was found liable for fraudulently inflating his net worth and rigging his financial records last year. He was ordered to pay $300 million. He's still appealing this case. This does two things. And first of all, what's scary about this, though she was right in this case, and even the judge said, listen, there's no question that you inflated your numbers and did something illegal here. The question is, how bad was it and how much will you have to pay because of it? Well, now that he's the appeal of the $300 million continues, by investigating her, by having judges in his pocket who may say, oh, what she did was wrong and she should have never tried this case, then he may get out of paying that $300 million, and he gets retribution against Letitia James. The Department of Justice investigating, reportedly, whether Trump's civil rights were violated in this case. Interesting, he cares about his own civil rights, but not the civil rights of anybody else. They're also investigating whether the civil rights of the National Rifle Association were violated because James targeted that group in another lawsuit. He has said that she's ranting and raving like a lunatic, trying to smear her during this entire process. And she stayed the course, and she went after him, and she won, and he is mad. I mean, how could he be beat by a woman, let alone a woman of color?
He's just on his revenge tour, and that's what
Yes, he
he's
is.
that's
Yeah.
been the theme of this year. Revenge tour here, saying one thing there,
Mhm.
covering it up with another thing. And then
Well,
the one big thing that's actually coming through, which I do have a video for, is those tariffs that he promised have I think they're about to start soon. So we better brace ourselves for those.
Well,
but
it's not just Letitia James that he's going after. Yesterday or the day before, we learned he's going after Jack Smith as well. So it's anybody that wronged him, members of the Biden family, members of the Obama administration. There's no one that is safe. No one that is safe. And now, Albert, I think we might need a little levity. How about some Friday Fabulous Florida? What do you think?
Yeah, we have an extra large one since we did.
Extra large.
We didn't get to it, but I am ready for
Extra tasty,
Florida.
crispy. It is Friday Fabulous Florida.
It's time for Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
A look at the weirdest stories from our weirdest state.
We begin with a wild story. A naked Florida man hides in a tanning bed after trying to set the gym on fire at closing time. Didn't want to leave, perhaps? I don't know. Happened in Fort Myers, Florida. This man's attempt to get buff ended with him in jail. Deputies say he ran through the gym naked nudie, tried to hide in a tanning bed right as the gym was supposed to close. The man is 25. His name is Henry, and Henry apparently started acting erratically at Planet Fitness when the staff there asked him to leave because it was closing time. There he is, hiding out in the tanning bed. Well, police officers have to arrest him.
Wild idea, but it just might work.
He apparently, according to police, removed his clothes, went running through the gym naked. He crawled into the ceiling, according to police, knocking down several tiles throughout the building, tried to start, allegedly, a fire in the bathroom. The surveillance footage, which you just saw, shows him sprinting through the building unclothed, going into multiple rooms, lying down completely naked on the hydro massage bed. They found him in the bed and arrested him. He was charged with indecent exposure, arson, criminal mischief, providing false information to law enforcement. Yeah. So.
My bad. I'm sorry.
I don't know if my bad, I'm sorry is going to cut it in this case. The next case involves a man who was just being silly. Just being silly Florida man arrested after shining a laser at a sheriff's helicopter. What? How much do you have to not know to do something like this? This man was arrested for aiming a green laser at a sheriff's office helicopter, and when he was caught, the police said he claimed he is just being silly. No, not good enough. This happened in Marion County, where the sheriff's office said their aviation unit was doing a security check when a green laser beam struck their helicopter at 2 a.m, obscuring the pilot's vision while he was flying Air One.
My bad. I'm sorry.
Again, the crew used the helicopter's forward-looking infrared camera to find the suspect. They ended up discovering Adam in his driveway, equipped with binoculars and a laser pointer. They now have the technology to find you pretty quickly. So I don't know if it makes sense to think that you're going to get away with something like this. When a deputy approached him to make an arrest for the felony offense, Adam initially resisted and pulled away, but was eventually taken into custody without further incident. And when questioned as to why he did this, he said, he's just being silly. It was out of boredom. They got the laser pointer, the binoculars, and the flashlight as evidence, and he's now in the slammer.
Only
There
in
you
Florida,
go.
Kim. Only in Florida.
There is a Florida woman who impersonated a nurse and treated more than 4,000 patients. Yikes. This is in Northeast Florida. This woman has been arrested for impersonating a registered nurse and providing medical care to thousands of people, unsuspecting patients, over a period of 18 months. This is in the Flagler County area. Her name is Autumn, and she's 29.
That's
She
not
was
fake.
charged.
That's real.
She was charged with, she's got her scrubs on and everything. She was charged with 7 counts of practicing healthcare profession without a license, 7 counts of fraudulent use of personal identification information. They investigated for 7 months. I don't know how it takes you 7 months to figure out that someone doesn't have a license. But the Flagler County Sheriff said this is one of the most disturbing cases of medical fraud we've ever investigated, that this woman potentially put thousands of lives at risk by pretending to be someone she was not, violating the trust of patients. She is being held on a $70,000 bond. She used they say, another nurse's license number to fraudulently gain employment at the Advent Health Palm Coast Parkway Hospital. And she worked there from 2023 until 2025. She assumed a similar name in order to obtain the job, which did require a nursing license. She claimed to be an education first nurse, someone who finished nursing school but hadn't yet passed the licensing exam. And then she told the hospital, well, she did pass the exam, and she submitted a license number belonging to a nurse who had the same first name as her but a different last name. And she said, she explained that away by saying, oh, I recently got married. They asked her for a marriage certificate. She never provided one. When she was considered for a promotion, they had to dig into her a little bit more. A colleague discovered she only had an expired nursing assistant license and then notified hospital administrators.
They do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it for.
She was doing such a good job, they were going to promote her when they realized, wait a minute, you're not supposed to be here in the first place. Busted.
I mean, clearly has some learning on the job skills. So there's I feel like if we just clean up the fraudulent stuff, there's some potential there.
Not anymore, there's not. Nope. There is a Florida man who removed 87 Burmese pythons from the Everglades. You know, they have the yearly snake removing contest. He takes home a $1,000 prize. This is the annual, what's it called? The Python hunting contest. I don't know what it's called. It's the South Florida Water Management District's Python program. And he was doing his best to get these pythons out of the Everglades. He captured 87 of them, the most pythons of any hunter during the month of July, got himself a $1,000 prize. And there he is in all his glory with the giant pythons.
Yeah, and if you just want to remove pythons, I think python removal agents are paid $50 per python up to 4 feet in length. An additional $25 is added for an additional foot.
So it's not just the pythons, it's how big the pythons are?
Yes.
And then they kill them, right? Do they kill them or do they relocate them somewhere else?
No, I think they kill. They are not native, so
right. So they get rid of them. Yeah. Well, he won the Python contest, so there you go.
I know Florida also has these. It's great for like vets, so then they'll give them these not actual guns, but then guns that take out like iguanas too, and they'll just have competitions just because those are very invasive too. So
kill them all, Albert. I guess that's the moral of the story in Florida. Smokey Bear arrests a man accused of stealing his signs across Florida. What? Yeah, this happened at Tampa. This Tampa man is
an all-time photo too. It's very funny.
He's under arrest for stealing Smokey Bear signs from across Florida. Yeah, Smokey Bear makes the arrest. The Department of Agriculture commissioner saying the suspect stole signs from state parks in Pensacola, Panama City, and Orlando. And they had Smokey the Bear join the Department of Agriculture here in the photo. You can see to make the arrest in Orange County, Florida. Smokey is always around our forest. Just got lucky today, they say, that he saw the bad guy and got him handcuffed. They call him an idiot, this guy. Law enforcement officers with the Department of Agriculture say the suspect was posting the signs that he took for sale on Facebook Marketplace for $1,900 a piece. They said Smokey goes to schools. He's known by our children. He's known by our families. He's known throughout the United States. Who goes and steals an image of Smokey the Bear and then tries to profit off of that? But the thefts of these signs shine a light on the effort by the state of Florida to prevent forest fires, which destroyed 24,000 acres in 2024. So we can get behind that. And
they're life size. Look at that. They're almost taller than the truck here, the bed of the truck.
$1,900. And he posted them on Facebook Marketplace. Absolutely what an idiot.
I love Facebook Marketplace though, Kim. You do see ridiculous things such as like Smokey the Bear signs on there once in a while.
Well, they caught this guy in the act. They say if you're going to go and commit crimes in our forests, you probably need to find a different place. Not only will you find smoke in some of those forests, but you'll find our officers as well. And that's what happened. This time, they say Smokey got his revenge. He's not throwing this criminal haphazardly into the woods. They say we're the most pro-law enforcement state in the union, and Smokey Bear is on the job also. Busted by Smokey the Bear. How embarrassing is that?
And that's our second arrest that's involving a mascot. Remember, Chuck E. Cheese got arrested. It was the other side.
That's right.
But this is the second mascot. So
in
someone
Florida.
in costume.
That's fantastic. Look at that. All right, it is time to vote. And here are your choices. A naked Florida man hiding in a tanning bed after trying to set the gym on fire at closing time. That's number 1. Just being silly. Florida man arrested after shining a laser at a sheriff's office helicopter. Number 3, Florida woman impersonated a nurse, treated more than 4,000 patients. 4, Florida man removes 87 Burmese pythons from the Everglades for $1,000. And 5, Smokey Bear arrests the man accused of stealing his signs across the state. What is your favorite, Albert?
I love the Smokey Bear. Smokey the Bear is great. He's in costume. He arrested a man. So he prevents forest fires and lays down the law.
I don't think there's any other choice. Smokey Bear making that arrest is classic. That you got to pick Smokey the Bear. What's the poll look like?
No poll this week. I'm helping co-host with you a little bit here.
All right, that's okay.
Photos, but I did ask them to put it into the chat. Their favorite. A lot of it seems kind of split with Smokey the Bear and the naked tanning guy.
Wow. Yeah, I see Smokey. A snake is not a substitute for a gator. Okay. Smokey the Bear arrest. Yeah. Number 1 was the naked Florida guy setting the gym on fire, trying to anyway, right? Number 1, that's the naked guy running through the gym. A lot of people like the naked guy, the tanning bed.
Will Smokey be joining ICE? That's from Luis. That's a great point.
I hope not. A way to tarnish an image of an iconic figure like Smokey the Bear. That is Friday Fabulous Florida.
This has been Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
Y'all come back now here.
All right, as we get ready for This Week in Politics with Jim Avila and Michael Shure, let's go over some other stories. I found this one about Pete Hegseth, and he's trying to bring back something that was taken away from military training a long time ago. It's called the shark attack, and you've seen it in movies where the drill instructor gets right in your face and starts screaming right in your face. They don't really do that anymore. Well, they didn't used to. Pete Hegseth wants that brought back. So They say the practice was usually employed at the beginning of training by having several drill instructors swarm trainees, yell in their faces at the top of their lungs. Hegseth said it starts at basic training, it starts at our military academies, and we're going back to basics now. That drill sergeants will be the drill sergeants with the knife hands, he said, who maintain good order and discipline and train up these recruits who make great formations. Just like we need military officers with the same rigorous discipline and background, we're going back to the basics, he says, and it's bearing fruit. They phased out this so-called shark attack in recent years. It was ended in 2020. They tried instead to build camaraderie and teamwork exercises instead of this type of shark attack style training. And now we're bringing this back. All the mean stuff. People in the military that went through this might have a different take on it. Like, I went through it. It was good enough for me. It's good enough for you. We don't need a touchy-feely military. But what's wrong with progress? What's wrong with training people? And I know that they say you have to tear them down and to make them part of a group so that they're all the same. This act of replacing the shark attack, apparently, came from deliberations at the Army Infantry School in Fort Benning, Georgia. Senior leaders thought the practice was outdated, but they say the in-your-face pile-on trainees, it did not mean that the Army was going soft. But supporters of this shark attack tactic say it helps trainees transition from civilian to military life, prepares them for some type of chaotic environment that they will experience on the battlefield, and that is actually good for them. So, Hegseth brings back the shark attack. There are, moving to a different story, a number of people that will have their disability benefits cut. The Trump administration is trying to get rid of supplemental income. There's a tug of war over this between different agencies, but there are thousands of people that are on federal disability benefits that get an extra few $100s a month because of an action taken by President Biden. President Trump comes in, and that extra money, it looks like it may go away. The Trump administration giving notice that it plans to rescind a change for the supplemental security income beneficiary to receive the full benefits even if they live with someone who helps them with food or shelter. So that money is now taken away. It's the supplemental security income. It's called SSI, or disability. They have a maximum benefit of $967 a month. A third of it is taken away from people that get in-kind support and maintenance. So if a roommate or a parent helps you with groceries, that type of thing. And last year, the Biden administration finalized a rule saying they wouldn't count in-kind support against your SSI benefits if other people in your house were also receiving some kind of food benefit or that type of thing as well. Now, the Trump administration changes that rule. So now their benefits will be cut. And it affects hundreds of thousands of the nation's lowest income people.
Yeah, John Watson saying here, billionaires making poor people even poorer.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. I mean, I paused there for a second just to let it sink in how awful that is. Something else the Trump administration is doing, well, in this case, the U.S. Air Force, they are denying all transgender service members who serve between 15 and 18 years the option to retire early, and instead, they will let you leave, but will not give you any retirement benefits. No soup for you if you're transgender. So you serve the U.S. military between 15 and 18 years, you get the option to retire early, but now you're being separated without any retirement benefits at all. It means that transgender service members are faced with this choice. either take a lump sum separation payment offered to junior troops removed from service. The Air Force spokesperson said, although service members with 15 to 18 years of honorable service were permitted to apply for exemption to the policy, none of those were approved. So that's it. The official.
That's really unfortunate. Like they're targeting
Yeah, they
our
are.
military members, those who've served.
For people who served all this time that worked for these retirement benefits, now they're going to get nothing simply
And
because
all the
they're
other
transgender.
benefits from being a part of our military and our armed forces, the free education, the getting to go shop on base, all the little things, the help from the VA, like all these things that you could get just for the sacrifice. And
Yep.
I mean, it's pretty objective. It doesn't matter if you're red, blue, guy, girl, it doesn't matter. Like you're still serving for our country, which is the most you could do. So,
but you're transgender, so you don't matter.
But you're transgender, so you're gonna get an early exit and no benefits from that.
No benefits, not at all. One other thing Trump is doing that I think we need to know about is signing an order allowing crypto in private equity 401k accounts. What could go wrong here? He's scheduled to sign an executive order allowing cryptocurrencies, private equity, and real estate into 401ks. The order from Trump will direct the U.S. Secretary of Labor to create a fiduciary guidance on private market investments in 401ks and other defined contribution plans governed by the Employee Retirement Income Security Act, which sets the standard for retirement programs. So it's an alternative asset industry which has been pushing for a greater options for private assets in defined contribution plans. They now will want to have access to more than $12 trillion in defined contribution workplace savings plans. There's no law banning plan sponsors from offering private market investments to employees, but traditionally they've avoided them because they have a fiduciary duty to offer prudent, reasonably priced investments. And now we get risky with the crypto and the 401k. This kind of freaks me out a little bit. And lastly, before we actually get to the newscast, Trump is signing an executive order putting federal grants under control. So now he has his thumb on the federal grants process. They now have to undergo evaluation by a Trump political appointee. He signed an
he's great at appointing very qualified people.
Yeah, he signed this order that will tighten federal grant approvals. The grant award decisions will now have to undergo evaluation by his people. He has, of course, threatened to cut federal funds for various agencies and educational institutions. And now these discretionary awards have to, where applicable, be shown that they will advance the president's policy priorities. So no money unless you're doing something that Trump thinks is worthwhile, then you get the money. All right. What do you think? We do a little bit of news as we move into This Week in Politics.
Yeah, and I'll let you know right when one or two of them are in the waiting room, but we'll have our news until they get here.
It sounds good. Here we go. On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report sponsored by CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. There is, as mentioned, a probe into New York Attorney General Letitia James being opened by the Justice Department. This, according to multiple reports, the DOJ's investigation said to be looking into whether James violated Trump's civil rights when she brought a civil fraud case against him. A judge's criminal contempt order against the Trump administration officials is being rejected by a federal appeals court. The panel voting 2-1 to scrap this order, which stems from the Trump administration disobeying a rule to return deportation flights destined to El Salvador. Remember, they did it anyway. Well, judges on the panel ruled the administration was entitled to an intervention because Judge James Boasberg's efforts to punish administration officials raised immediate concerns. The Trump administration is seeking a $1 billion settlement from the University of California, Los Angeles. According to reports from CNN, UCLA officials returned to the negotiating table after the Trump administration started to freeze its funds. UCLA has expressed a desire to reach a deal to restore funding, and in return, the White House is pushing for the $1 billion payout. A draft of a proposed agreement obtained by CNN shows UCLA will pay the settlement over multiple installments, along with an additional $172 million claims fund for people supposedly impacted by violations of employment discrimination. It is the first public institution that is hit by, pardon me, these claims of Trump saying that there's discrimination on campus. So UCLA becomes the first public institution hit by this. A peace pact between Azerbaijan and Armenia is set to be announced by Trump today. He is set to speak at the White House, with Azerbaijan's president and Armenia's prime minister set to be in attendance as well. U.S. officials have been working for months to help these two countries reach a deal. Speaking of some kind of peace deal, there's a summit in the works between President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin, reportedly set for the end of next week. This, according to NBC News. The location's still a problem. They're thinking maybe the UAE or Hungary or Switzerland or Rome. They haven't pinned that part down yet. It's unclear if Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky will be involved as not. Pushing him out is seen as an affront. But the Kremlin has reportedly given the White House a list of demands for a potential ceasefire, and the United States is now trying to get Ukraine and European allies on board as well. California elections officials are preparing for a potential special election November 4th, but it all hinges on Texas and whether or not they change their congressional maps to benefit Republicans. If that happens, the state of California will vote on new maps favoring Democrats. Lawmakers return to Sacramento August 18th, giving them just days to draw up new congressional maps, prepare a ballot measure, and gather public feedback as well. They don't have a lot of time for all this. They have until August 22nd to declare a special election. They also will need a 2/3 majority in both the Assembly and the state Senate to take it to voters. Meanwhile, the FBI is said to be assisting in locating Texas House Democrats who fled in an effort to block a vote on Republican-led redistricting there. There's a wildfire now north of Los Angeles, started yesterday, and thousands of people are running. The Canyon Fire started near Santa Clarita in Ventura County. It's still raging, uncontained, as it spreads into Los Angeles County. It's burned about 5,000 acres. They're doing airdrops, but they've got some people that are being forced out of their homes in that area. The Pentagon is reportedly being ordered to use military force against certain drug cartels. President Trump reportedly ordering the Pentagon to use military force against cartels designated as foreign terrorist organizations. The New York Times reports Trump signed the directive in secret, and military officials have started drawing up plans for the ways in which they will be targeting these cartels. Here in California, electric car owners are about to lose a popular perk. The state's Clean Air Vehicle Decal program, allowing access to carpool lanes, is just about to expire. In New York, new information on the death of a carriage horse that collapsed in Midtown Manhattan earlier this week. The 15-year-old horse named Lady, they say now likely suffered an aortic rupture believed to have been caused by a small tumor. Lady collapsed and died on 51st Street and 11th Avenue in Hell's Kitchen. Happened Tuesday afternoon, and that prompted animal advocates to renew their call for the city council to pass a bill banning horse-drawn carriages in New York. We will be talking to Michael Snyder, the Culture Blaster, a little later on, but I can tell you the week's new movie releases are off to a good start at the box office already. The horror film Weapons made $5.7 million from Thursday previews yesterday. The body swap comedy sequel Freakier Friday made $3.1 million. It's expected, Weapons, by the way, is expected to make between 25 and 30 million, while Freakier Friday is predicted to finish with 27 to 30 million at the box office. So we'll see what Michael Snyder has to say about these movies and whether they're worth your time or money. That is coming up. There is a company that makes Barbie dolls now trying to block a copyright from a Washington, D.C. based podcaster. Ken Biberai wants to copyright the name of his political podcast, which is called Coffee with Ken. But Mattel, maker of Barbie, has filed a lawsuit trying to block that request because they say their brand could be damaged by the use of the Ken name in the podcast title. Birabaj says he's planning to fight this lawsuit, saying the complaint is an overreach since Ken is a common name and Barbie does not own the name Ken. I wouldn't want to go up against Barbie on that one. This report is sponsored by CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. It is the best coffee and the best tea. I am addicted to the teas. I have my vanilla tea today, and I have been drinking the turmeric chai tea, which has lion's mane mushroom that is supposed to improve brain function. So good. Mark is loving the lion's mane coffee as well. And so check out the website if you can. It's CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. They have tasting notes that are very accurate, clear, so you know just what you're buying. And when you get to the checkout page, please check the code box and put in Mark T. No spaces, Mark T, and that'll get you 10% off. It'll at least take care of your shipping. And you will love what you get when it arrives at your front door. CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. I'm Kim McAllister, and this is The Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Who's Mark Thompson?
Hey, which one of you is Mark Thompson?
What he's got going here is a situation.
It's unbelievably offensive.
Put up your pants, my man. Pull up those pants.
Ralph Nader just sent me a book. Did he send you one too?
I offer this sincere apology to you today.
Everything is going extremely well.
Calling me a liar? Is that what you call him?
You, sir, are a liar.
You are a cover-up artist, and you are a liar.
Liar, liar, your pants are on fire!
A Google told me.
Can you let him finish, sir? It was wrong, it was stupid, and I'm trying to be a better person.
No, no, no.
I'm going to tell you what I think.
What are the porn stars doing?
Do you have a secret talent?
Isn't anybody but a weed?
100% effective. How about that?
Say what?
And this is their new host.
There is no defense for my conduct.
I misspoke. I stand corrected.
And I wanted to apologize to the Asian community, the Asian American community.
Time's up, mother effers.
You got it on the Mark Thompson Show here on YouTube, and we have our journalists waiting for This Week in Politics. Jim Avila, former ABC White House correspondent. You've seen Michael Shure at Trump rallies talking to people about what in the world they're thinking. And both join us now. They're experts on politics, and I'm so excited to welcome Michael Shure and Jim Avila to the show. Hi, Jim Avila. Hi, Michael Shure.
Hello,
Good afternoon.
Hi, welcome aboard. First thing I was hoping to talk to you about is tariffs, and Albert has a great video that he's prepared on the tariffs taking effect, and now these 60 countries are scrambling to try to figure out what to do. Let's watch the video, Albert. I thought he had it ready. Here it comes.
President Trump's new tariffs, the highest in nearly a century. Some now weighing whether to raise prices.
I'm trying to hold off till the end of the year, but if it gets to the point where, it becomes too much, I have no choice.
The Yale Budget Lab estimates that tariffs will cost a typical household as much as $2,400 this year. The price of a new car expected to rise by $5,800. Shoe prices are predicted to soar 40%, clothing 38%, and fresh produce 7%.
I will point out that the Yale Budget Lab is mostly staffed by Biden and the alumni, so they have a particular point of view.
As for when prices could rise, experts say the full impact of tariffs might not be felt for months.
They're taking effect now, but only for goods that are just starting to be shipped, so that we might not see those on store shelves until closer to October.
Still, some companies are already hit hard. Toyota says it expects a $9.5 billion loss in profits from U.S. tariffs. American cosmetics company Elf Beauty says its profits fell 30%. Some customers are stocking up on Brazilian coffee and chocolate.
That's why
Thanks, Albert. I appreciate it. So you get the point. Prices will go up.
Just when you go to the chocolate, right?
Yeah, just when you get to the chocolate. The prices will be going up. It might not happen for a few more months. When the prices finally go up, will people realize, oh, we are going to get stuck paying the bill for this? And maybe Trump's tariff policies aren't the best thing for the American consumer after all. Is that when the tide finally turns, Michael Shure?
Yeah, yes, in that is what propelled this president to office the second time around, was people, being very, very upset about prices. But predicting when the tide will turn, the political tide turns a little differently. And the people who are dealing with these tariffs are, if in fact they're going to land in the same way that the people and a lot of economists predict, not, as Scott Besson said, not all the Trump economists believe that, or else they wouldn't be doing this. But if it lands in the way that they expect, or that these economists expect, and a lot of political pundits expect, it's going to hurt at the ballot box. It's going to hurt in 26. It's going to make it more difficult for Republicans to run with adherence to the Trump administration's economic policy. Because you remember this last election, when it's written about 25 years from now, people are going to call it the price of eggs election. They're going to talk about MAGA. They're going to talk about a lot of other things, about Biden's age, about changing horses midstream for the Democrats. All of it's valid, but it's going to boil down to the price of eggs argument. And the tariffs are, they hit people the way that the prices of eggs do. And you see a cosmetic company that I'd never heard of, an American cosmetic company, down 30% already. These are the kind of things that these costs are going to go back to consumers.
It seems like every time something bad happens, whether it's prices going up or jobs numbers that aren't favorable, there's a way to twist it so it's Democrats' fault, or there's a way to twist it so it's not really true. This isn't what's really happening. Jim Avila, when this happens, when the prices go up and American consumers are faced with another hit to their pocketbook, will they believe the spin? Is there any way the Trump administration can spin this so that they're not responsible for the rise in prices?
I don't see a way. But, this is what I've been saying in the show for a month now, is that the tariffs will come and bite the Trump administration, but not until the prices go up. And what American business people have done is that they have stocked up with pre-tariff
goods, and they're making some adjustments and trying to take some of the hit themselves. But they'll run out of room on that. And when they run out of room on that, and the prices start going up because of tariffs, there's no way to escape it. I don't think the the amount of money that they're bringing in. I guess I read it was 30 billion or a million, one of those two, that have come in because of tariffs. But who are they coming in from? They're not coming in from the people who sell it to us are not paying that. It's the people who buy here, the importers, the businesses. So that there's no doubt, among real economists and not Trump apologists, that the tariffs are going to hit Americans. And there are some who believe that what Trump is trying to do is change the tax system so that we exist on tariffs and not so much on taxes.
Sure.
And then he can say, oh, I lowered taxes. But you have to figure it all in, and altogether, it's going to be hard to avoid. So I don't see it. Maybe there's some surprise still coming, but I don't see it.
And the other side of that, what Jim was just saying, and there's one other thing to say about all this as well, but is that these companies are stocking up on pre-tariff goods. That presumes that those companies are going to sell them for pre-tariff prices. If you can get tariff market, it's all the better for those companies. I'm not saying I'm not skeptical of every company, but if you are stocking up on things and the going rate is higher because of taxes and your competitor is selling something for $2 that you're selling for $1.50 because you stocked up on it, well, you're going to go up to $1.80, right? And so the consumer is going to miss that $1.50 price a lot. And that is part of what even makes the people that are anticipating, their companies that are anticipating this, puts them in a better position, but it doesn't put the consumer in a better position. And going to your initial question, Kim, the consumer is the voter, and the voter is still going to be paying more than they feel as if they should be. And the other part of the problem with these tariffs is that in the wake of these tariffs, you see alliances forming outside the United States to get around this, to say, okay, Brazil's going to go to India and they're going to work out some kind of partnership. These two massive economies are going to work something out. So they're not as reliant on the United States anymore. And that also hurts U.S. manufacturers, producers. It hurts small businesses in the United States. And I would say that it hurts the administration that put this in place. But like Jim said, we got to wait to see.
Well, do you also think, Michael Shure, that then you have to consider the fact that, or the possibility that if there are countries making alliances on trade, then you could extrapolate they would be making alliances politically as well. And then we're left out not only of trade negotiations and other things, but we're left out of political decisions and other alliances, which could be key to us.
It definitely breaks a model, right? If there's a routine and a comfort and a long-standing relationship with the United States, and that gets broken, then you go elsewhere and you say, oh, you know what? This isn't so bad, actually. And yes, then it becomes political. Then look, I mean, I'm not saying the United States is diminishing in power necessarily, but as other countries discover that they can get a lot of this done without going through the United States, if the United States are going to be ruled this way, then absolutely. And I would argue that it would help a future president from either party, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat who comes in after Trump, it would help them re-engage to say, all right, that was a bad episode. We want to invite the world back in. And people love that. The electorate eats that stuff up.
Let's move to this mess in Texas with now allegedly the FBI accepting a request to track down Democrats and bring them back to Texas. They left to avoid a quorum in the Texas House. They were planning to vote for a redistricting measure that would squeeze 5 more Republican U.S. representatives out so that Trump could ensure that he retains control of the House. Now, Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, is saying to the Democrats who left, if you don't come back, I'm going to try to squeeze more than 5 out. So it'll be worse for you. What is happening? We have in California Very little time now until I think August 22nd, and our state representatives don't get back into office or onto the job until August 18th. So they have just a matter of days to figure out if they are going to be able to do redistricting in California based on what Texas does. What are your thoughts about all the threats flying against Democrats from Texas and whether California should be doing this or not? Let's start with you, Jim Avila.
Well, my thought is that it's good that the Democrats are taking the gloves off and they're going to fight back. They're fighting back both in Texas, where they've left the state to go to Chicago, and they'll fight back in California. Yes, it's going to take some political gymnastics, but the Democrats do control the politics here in California, so they should be able to once Texas is done what they say they're going to do. It should allow California to go ahead and redistrict and favorable to Democrats, and where we can certainly make up whatever they're doing in Texas. And that even leaves out New York, which also has to do some political gymnastics to make it happen. It's not as easy as it is in Texas just to have a vote and have it done. So there has to be changes in the Constitution, things like that, which take more time. But I think if I had to look forward in a crystal ball, I would say that it's going to even out, and this tactic is not going to work for the Republicans.
Where does it end, though? We redistrict this time, and then the next time someone wants more, then they try to redistrict again. Does it ever stop? And should we be engaging in this battle, Michael Shure?
I mean, Democrats have said, no, we shouldn't engage in this battle until, as Jim points out, they're saying, no, we're going to engage in this battle now. And I think that it has to be done, and seeing that kind of spirit out of a Democratic Party that is usually sort of wait and see about this sort of thing, I think should be encouraging for Democrats. Yeah, it's very difficult to say where it ends. First of all, when you have a president who by fiat wants to change the way we take our census and when we take our census and who is counted, that is going to impact the way that congressional districts are actually drawn in ways that sort of supersede having people sit down and do it at a political level. At a time in 2025, is it easy to find a bipartisan commission? No, it isn't. I don't think in our lives, do any of you know people who are not partisan one way or the other? however powerful that partisanship is, I don't. I know people who are Republicans and Democrats, and I don't see a lot of crossing over. I was just talking to my family a little bit earlier about the Reagan Democrat, right? Will that animal ever exist again in America? I don't think so. People talk about that as a partisan time. It was far less partisan because you had people that were called Reagan Democrats across the line. So when you have these districts that are drawn this way, and you have to have them based on the census, you look at what those census numbers say each census, and you draw it out. But it's always drawn out by political appointees or political committees. Some states have tried to put in these commissions that are independent. I don't know how that's going, frankly, to answer this question, but I'm not encouraged that it could happen in a national way, because some of these states are so blue and so red that they would never allow for that to happen, which is why the battle is in Texas. It's in California. They're saying it's going to go to Indiana, which is a blue state, a red state, going to Illinois, a blue state. Florida wants to get, so it just becomes a free-for-all of rigging the system, and that's not Vice President Elbridge Gerry. It's actually the gerrymander, not the gerrymander. Gerrymander was about.
Have you looked at how many seats of each party could be gained by redistricting? And in the end, when you look at Indiana and Texas and Florida versus California and New York and Illinois, will it be equal to what we have now as far as majorities in the House? Is this just kind of a checkmate situation?
It does seem close to me. The Democrats have always had more representation in the larger states, the more populous states, and in the big cities, because that's where the Democrats live. So while there are more Republican states, there are fewer congressional districts. So, is it going to even out? At the end of the day, I kind of think this is going to be all a big nothing, and that they're going to cancel each other out. Now, Michael knows some of this stuff much more than I do as far as incrementally, but I don't see that that's going to give anybody a huge advantage.
No, I don't think it's far from the truth. They say that what the Texas thing does is they think the Democrats are thinking that there are more purple districts that they can put in play in California and New York and not in other states. I mean, there are a few here. You can cherry pick one in North Carolina for the Republicans. You can do the same in Virginia and Ohio. But when you look at the big picture, I agree with Jim. I think that this, and that's why they're concentrating on Texas, because that's a big chunk right there that could at least keep the status quo for the Republicans. They are worried, the Republicans. There's no question about it, because they know that all these incumbents that they're counting on winning and holding their seats are going to be Republicans that are going to have to run on the back of tariffs, on the back of Israel, on the back of all these issues that are starting to matter to independent voters in ways that they don't to partisan voters. So if they can create these very partisan districts, that's an insurance policy for them. But I agree with Jim on balance.
The biggest Medicaid users are in Republican districts. So, I mean, it's the poor people who live in the rural areas where hospitals might be closed. Those things are going to really hurt.
That's very, very important. What Jim said.
But are those the people that vote? Because traditionally they haven't been. So I don't know how much it matters that Trump has cut Medicaid and food stamps and all of these things that affect the poorest of the poor, because first of all, they tend to vote against their own best self-interest or not vote at all. So how much does that play into this?
Well, I don't think they vote against their pocketbook. Okay. So when they see that their children no longer have insurance and their mother doesn't have any insurance, and they got to reach in and pay for that when their hospitals are closing. Look, I was way too optimistic in the last election, so I'm trying not to be so optimistic this time around.
Now you're bitter beans.
Yeah. I just don't, what I kind of settled on, Kim and Michael, is we get the government we deserve.
Yep.
And we deserve what's going on now, because those who did not go out and vote, or those who couldn't see beyond, their egg price, are really going to be hurt. So hopefully that's why we have elections every 2 and 4 years, is that we'll be able to recover because of what's going on with the Trump administration. I still think there's enough Democrats still outnumber Republicans, that there's going to be a reckoning in 2 years and certainly in 4 years.
There's that Jim Avila optimism. It's coming back to the surface.
Yeah, and more on what Jim's saying. I mean, I think in response to you, Kim, when you were saying that they vote against their interests, they vote against their interests in a macro and an unfocused way, right? It's easy for us who know more about this than we ought to say that they're voting against their interests. They don't feel like they are. But to what Jim's saying, when those micro issues come up, and they're macro in their own homes, but they're micro in terms of they're really under the microscope. Those are the types of issues that force voters to start seeing what their best interests are. Like Jim said, on getting people insured in their home, on getting decent prices, on feeling safe, on, they don't care anymore about immigrants eating cats and dogs in Ohio. They care about the fact that their kids are going hungry or their kids aren't getting health care. That's bigger.
Let's switch topics and talk about the future of the MAGA movement, because we heard this week Trump they tried to pin him down, reporters, about who is your heir apparent. And he said, well, it looks like right now, J.D. Vance. And he said, I think most likely, in all fairness, he's the vice president. He also said, I think Marco is someone that could get together with JD in some form. He said it's too early to talk about it, but JD is doing a great job and would probably be favored at this point. Can you see a world with a President J.D. Vance. Is that far-fetched? What do you
Did
think,
you see
Michael
a
Shore?
world with a President Donald Trump?
Yeah, there
I mean,
you go.
know.
That's the answer right there.
Yeah.
It's all far-fetched. I'm a firm believer that movements are about people, and MAGA is about Donald Trump. And when he's off the stage, there will be people who stay in the process, who stay in the arena. But MAGA, as we know it, goes away. A cult is not a cult without a leader, and I think that's really what it will boil down to with this. I think there are people who want to be president who are not J.D. Vance, who are not Marco Rubio, who are going to run really hard against them and tell Republicans in primaries that MAGA actually wasn't good for you. And we have to do MAGA light, or we have to find another path that takes in some of that stuff. But, it's going to be a spirited Republican primary. And without Donald Trump as a candidate anyway, as far as we know, then I think that MAGA begins to show signs of crumbling, because I think a lot of these people are not going to be interested in what Tom Cotton and Josh Hawley and Marsha Black have to say. They're interested in the celebrity Donald Trump, and they're just going to go back to doing whatever it was.
Yeah, and I think another name you have to fear and remember, unless he gets arrested for drug use, is Junior.
Yeah,
Donald Trump Jr. on the ballot is a wild card.
Well, it is, but I wasn't saying those specifically, but you're right. I mean, if he's there are going to be people that come in. We said that about George W. Bush. Like, Dan Quayle was leading that race, and he had to drop out when George W. Bush came in, and he was at least more substantial, having been a governor, than Donald Trump Jr. is, having done absolutely nothing.
That's so scary. I saw a story that I wanted to run past you guys. This is scientists now are outraged over this plan by Trump's energy secretary or energy chief to update climate reports. They say it's exactly what Stalin did. The executive in question is Chris Wright. He's an ex-fossil fuel executive who's now the energy secretary, and he's apparently reviewing national assessments made by past governments. And these papers, these assessments, are supposed to be the gold standard in the world for climate change. There have been 5 of them, 5 national climate assessments, and they're considered to be the top reporting for global heating and its impact on human health and agriculture and water supplies and pollution. And now Wright says we're reviewing past reports, and we'll come out with updated reports and comments on those reports. And scientists are saying you can't change what we wrote just because you don't like it. But this is the same thing as mentioned with the Bureau of Labor Statistics report. When you decide you just don't like what it has to say, so you're just going to go in and put a red line through this and put a red line through that. Where does this end, Michael Shore?
I mean, I don't know, but I think your comparison is accurate. If you don't, here's a president who doesn't like the numbers he's getting, so he says, oh, these are actually the real numbers. I don't like the climate numbers I'm getting. These are the real numbers. RFK Jr., I don't like what the positive things that are happening with polio vaccines and measles vaccines and COVID. Oh, so we're going to change this. It's changing it just to suit your interests, which is, to me, what dictators do. And it is dictatorial behavior. And where it's going to go, I don't know, but it's probably going to show up in many, many forms all the way until January 20th, 2029.
And of all the dangers that we face, Trump's attitude about climate change is probably way at the top of the list, in my mind, at least. I mean, they're doing things that will allow, our air to get dirty again, our water to get dirty again, and they're doing nothing about. They're not doing any research about how hot it is, and what these wildfires and things like that.
Yeah.
As long as he's in power, the climate and the world is in danger, and this is one of the main ways.
That's true. Climate is number one. It's the most dangerous thing we are facing. It is not tangible and to everybody, but it is. And he's a president who is not taking care of his country because he is doing that. He's allowing emissions to increase. He's taking all kinds of regulation out of the fossil fuel business. It's astonishing that the
You have to remember who he is,
Yep.
He's a businessman, bad one, but a businessman with no conscience.
Mhm.
Okay, who doesn't care about lying, doesn't care about real facts. And he told us what he was going to do. He met with the oil barons before the election and asked them for $1 billion. They gave it to him, and now he's repaying it. And that's exactly what he's going to do.
I
And
worry
the things that he's doing against the EVs is just, it's horrendous.
Right.
Not only are they not going to give tax breaks anymore, but they're going to take away the fast lane, the commuter lane.
Yeah.
With an advantage of encouraging people to do right by the environment. They're doing everything they can to eliminate that.
Yep.
And getting rid of the Rose Garden.
And the Rose Garden. Yeah, we had a video earlier that Mark sent us with. Now they have, it looks like Mar-a-Lago, where the patio cafe with all the umbrellas put up at the White House.
Did you just let out that you've been to Mar-a-Lago? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, only pictures. Only pictures.
Oh, all right, now I got it.
But I worry about what we were just talking about. I worry that all of these government documents, these important documents, these scientific facts that we base our policy on will be so full of lies and so full of mistruths. There's at the White House, you can see all the umbrellas they're putting up, and then you can see the picture next to the Mar-a-Lago.
Well done.
Yeah. Thanks to Mark for sending that, and thanks to Albert for putting it up. But I worry it's going to be so full of lies that it will be impossible to untangle this mess of all of the papers they've tampered with, of all of the information that we had that we now don't have, the stuff being pulled off websites, the important, policies, the important documents, that it's all going to be changed and manipulated. And when the next, hopefully, party comes in and tries to right all of these wrongs, that it's going to be impossible to try to figure out this mess they've left us.
Well, there are a lot of smart Democrats, okay? I would contend, even though I know he has baggage, that if you put Gavin Newsom in as the next president, he will feel no hesitancy of signing executive order after executive order, changing these things back. And yes, because one of the things that Trump is doing wrong for the future of MAGA is by not using Congress. None of the things that he is doing is irreversible.
Yeah.
If he were to try to actually get something passed by Congress into law, then a next president couldn't do anything. But we have to have an aggressive candidate on the Democratic side, whether that's Gavin Newsom. I used to, a lot of my friends believe, we got to go moderation, don't go left. I'm not for moderation anymore. I think that the Democrats have to come out swinging and threaten to do those things and do them when they get there.
Yeah, more to what Jim's saying, because it's absolutely right, is that we have to find a way not to legislate and preside with executive order. It's just gotten too out of hand. A new president shouldn't just have to come in and undo executive orders, because that will go on, until we go on, right? I mean, so there has to be a way to get a reasonable Congress to realize that passing some of this legislation, not having to force it through presidential order, is that has to be looked at as well. But you need an aggressive candidate and an aggressive president to do that as a Democrat.
Well, before I let you guys go, I wanted to give you opportunity to comment on ICE. They are recruiting hard. You may have seen that former Superman star Dean Cain has come out and said he's an honorary ICE agent now, and done kind of a PR run with that. The Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, is now giving these ICE detention centers kind of kitschy, cute names. We have Alligator Alcatraz, and now we have the Speedway Slammer in Indianapolis. with the recruiting and the jumping out of a Penske moving truck at a Home Depot, and the recruiting from local police departments, they're trying to poach them to become ICE agents. They've they've stripped away the age limit for now law enforcement and becoming an ICE agent. What are your thoughts on what's happening? We'll start with you, Michael Shure.
It's sickening. It's obviously sickening. They're trying to make it they're trying to glorify something that is so hateful at its core. They're trying to change the rules as they go along and bring people into ICE and immigration enforcement who weren't there to do that. Today you heard it's a totally different conversation, but that they want to use the military to fight the drug cartels.
Right.
At least these are people who volunteered to fight an American enemy, and you could in many ways see the drug cartels as enemies of America, as enemies of their children, etc. But with ICE, it's glorifying the grabbing of people in the middle of the street, families, parents, children. It's horrendous, and it's going to be the ugliest reminder of this administration, no question.
Jim, a comment from you?
It's more of the same. They're desperate, but they've gotten in this new wonderful bill huge funding for the Border Patrol and for ICE, and that is going to mean that it's going to be they're going to have the funds to do what you were talking about, hiring people and giving them bonuses and that kind of thing. So there's not much that can be done to stop it, I don't think. What's going to stop it is the next election when people, he's lost a lot of support on this, and I think he's lost a lot of support across the board. His approval rating is in the low 40s, and that's not very good for a sitting president.
And
one more thing I want to mention before I know we got to go.
Yeah.
This UCLA, this action that Trump administration is just doing against UCLA for $1 billion.
Yeah, brutal.
A public school. That is it's going to be interesting how they react. I've got good friends who work at UCLA. They've already been cutting back. They've already not filling positions when they lose people. So and this is where the funding, this is where our funding of research is happening. UCLA is responsible for all kinds of things, including the internet. They have invented, and that's where our best brains are, and we're trying to cut the legs out from under them because they're not MAGA.
Yeah.
And that's also another to go out after the institutions of higher learning.
Yeah.
That's out of a fascist dictatorial playbook. It happens, every once in a while, and we know where it happens.
Yeah.
Michael, sure, you had a comment on the way out as well that you were trying to make.
Oh, I might have been that.
You want to do your 48 seconds of sports?
48 seconds of sports. That's a tough one. I wasn't prepared for it today for some reason.
Okay, that's all right. Usually you come armed.
I come armed with a sports story. I don't have one today. I guess in a sense, I guess that's good because there's so much politics we can talk about.
Exactly. All right. Thank you, Michael Shure. Thank you, Jim Avila. Love having you guys on the show. Have a great weekend.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Love that segment, This Week in Politics. And we roll right into the weekend because the Culture Blaster,
The Mark Thompson Show,
is on the way in. Yes, Michael Snyder, I believe he's here and ready to rock and roll with all the movies and the streaming options that are available this weekend. And he'll save you a lot of time and tell you which ones are the good ones and which ones you can just let go. He comes and goes on a rainbow. Michael Snyder, everybody. Hi, Michael.
Hey, Kim. Hey, Kim.
Hi.
Hey, Kim.
Welcome aboard.
Boy, after a half hour with Avila and Shure, I feel like my IQ jumped up a few points,
Yeah, they're super smart, both of them. It's great to talk to them. Yeah.
I know. So PD Hegseth wants to bring disciplinary shark attacks back to the military, right?
I know. You ready for that?
I miss the good old days when shark attacks were the province of real sharks rending real flesh with real sharp teeth. I mean, let's see Hegseth deal with that, right?
I don't know. They're just so mean. They're there for the, if there's a mean policy, they'll find it and bring it back.
I know.
Mhm.
Before we get to the movie reviews and talk a little bit about TV,
Yeah.
I need to go on record about how incensed I am at the way South Park has been portraying me, Kim. They've been suggesting that my smooth complexion is the result of Botox, and that I'm never seen without my beret because it's stapled to my scalp. Okay. They're right about the beret, but I do not use Botox. It's sheep placenta injections, people.
Oh.
Come on, get it right, would
Yikes.
you?
No. Yeah, Kristi Noem, boy, she really took a beating from South Park. And, I think it's well-deserved.
I loved every second of it.
Mhm.
Speaking of loving every second, let's get to the movies. And I want to lead off with Weapons. I'm not going to say we're in the golden age of horror movies, but Weapons is another smart, original, and thoroughly impressive addition to the genre, along with Sinners, Together, Companion, Bring Her Back, Dangerous Animals, and more. A lot of really great, smart horror movies this year. Now, a follow-up to director-screenwriter Zach Cregger's first film, the chilling suburban bed and breakfast nightmare Barbarian, Weapons launches into this nerve-wracking madness on an ordinary night when every student but one in an elementary school class disappears at the same time. I mean, they just up and leave. But where do they go? Did they run off to join a prepubescent unit of ICE? Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, there's no more age limit. Anyway, the parents are freaked out. The cops are flummoxed, and everybody decides that the teacher of that class must have had something to do with the vanishing, or she must know something about it. The teacher, who is tormented by what happened, and by the way, likes to drink a bit, is played by Julia Garner of Ozark and The Americans and Inventing Anna.
Okay.
Of course, she's currently the Silver Surfer in the Fantastic Four First Steps, but this is a much more grounded part for her to play, except for the horrifying aspects of the situation. So, against the wishes of the school principal, played by Benedict Wong, she decides to investigate the missing kids on her own by speaking to the one who didn't disappear that night. Garner is terrific. Josh Brolin is also in great form as the father of a missing student. He decides to do his own sleuthing, and he and the teacher get more than they bargained for when the fate of the children comes to light. Weapons finds the sweet spot where folktale meets urban legend. One of the coolest things about it is that Cregger tells his story from multiple points of view, like Rashomon style, the Kurosawa film. And that adds to the fun and the suspense. By the way, the cast includes Alden Ehrenreich, Amy Madigan, and June Diane Raphael. I kind of love that Marvel movie stalwarts Garner, Wong, and Brolin are all in this thing. I mean, it's like the first line of a joke. The Silver Surfer, the Sorcerer Supreme, and Thanos walk into a horror movie. I know the joke goes nowhere from there, but it made me think of that. So any plot holes, and there are one or two, can be forgiven. I have to say, as a fright fest and a mystery, Weapons slays. It's dynamite, and it's in theaters.
Okay, you like this one. It's a go. Let's go to it.
I think so.
Okay.
It's been over 20 years since the Disney Studios hit pay dirt with Freaky Friday. Yeah. That's the 2003 mother-daughter mystical brain-switching comedy starring Jamie Lee Curtis as Tess the mother, and then Disney teen queen Lindsay Lohan as Anna the daughter. Actually, it's more like 22 years, but who's counting? Anyway, it's all too evident.
Before you move in, I want to ask you, did you like the first one? Because I thought the first one was kind of cheesy.
I thought it was okay. I mean, for what it was, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was okay.
All right.
But, proof of concept and previous success holds sway in the boardrooms of Hollywood. And the idea of reuniting the currently hot and awards-decorated Curtis with former Wild Child Lohan to make a Freaky Friday sequel had to be too tempting to resist. So Freakier Friday. In Freakier Friday, Lohan's Anna has given up her youthful dreams of rock stardom to work at a label at what appears to be an artist liaison position, where she's dealing with a mega popular female singer-songwriter, think Taylor Swift or Olivia Rodrigo. Anna is also a single mom of rebellious teenage girl Harper, played by Julia Butters, who is feuding at school with British exchange student Lily, played by Sophia Hammonds. And Lily is like a snobby, mean girl type, but her single father, Eric, played by Manny Jacinto of The Good Place and The Acolyte, is a celebrity chef and just happens to be planning to marry Anna. So there's going to be potential familial discord there, right?
Right.
As for Jamie Lee's Tess, she's a grandma. She's married to husband number 2, played by, Silver Fox Mark Harmon, and she's working as a psychotherapist / podcaster, which doesn't prepare her for another mystical brain switching. Okay, this one is not Anna switching with Tess. Instead, Anna switches with Harper, and Tess switches with Lily, which means hijinks will ensue and our stars will get another chance to mug and prance in amusing fashion as the wedding. You see where this is going, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the wedding of Anna and Eric is violently opposed by both of these sniping daughters, etc. Stephen Tobolowsky and Rosalind Chow show up, as does Chad Michael Murray, who reprises his role as Anna's helpless and hapless boyfriend from Freaky Friday. Director Anisha Ganatra and screenwriter Jordan Weiss keep the plates spinning, and the cast, particularly Curtis and Lohan, do all the rest of the heavy lifting. Like Freaky Friday, Freakier Friday is, and here we go, good of kind. It's not my particular cup of tea. And it did have what we used to call that wrote itself feeling, like, it wrote itself. And we now, of course, we ascribe that to Chat GPT, but it is, get ready, it is not terrible. That's right, not terrible. Michael Snyder, The Mark Thompson Show. Nothing for the annals of cinema history, but Freakier Friday is a harmless, generally cheerful diversion for its escapism-hungry audience. It's in theaters. By the way, on a personal note, my dear friend Ellen Vieira, one of the best makeup artists in Hollywood, does her usual 5-star job on the likes of Jamie, Lindsay, Harmon, and Manny. Love her, and I can't ever diss her or a project she's involved with. No, if this was terrible, I'd say so. It's not. It's not terrible.
It does what it needs to do. Yeah.
Okay.
So question about, well, I wanted to tell you, you said Chad Michael Murray is in this, and he's kind of gotten a little resurgence as well. He's in this Netflix series called Sullivan's Crossing. And I think it's, how they tell you, it's the most popular this week or what have you. So
right.
I think it's that Chad Michael Murray is making a bit of a resurgence.
Oh, well, good for him. I'm glad for him.
Yeah.
Doesn't help me or you, Kim, but
no,
okay.
It doesn't.
You go, Chad. All right. So here's a movie that would on the surface appeal to you, I think, but let me get into depth with it.
Okay.
The prestigious, not prestigious, but prestige-ish dramedy, My Mother's Wedding, is the first movie directed and co-authored by the fine British actress Kristen Scott Thomas. Oh, she is so good as the MI6 spy master in Slow Horses. She was in the original Tom Cruise Mission Impossible, Gosford Park. She played Churchill's wife in Darkest Hour. Anyway, apparently, Thomas was inspired by her own family situation and also plays the mother in question here, whose 3 disparate daughters, played by Scarlett Johansson, Sienna Miller, and Emily Beecham, come together in the English countryside for Mom's 3rd wedding. For all the love that Thomas surely put into this, it's kind of a mishmash. I mean, I didn't buy ScarJo in her role as a captain in the Royal Navy. That's right. She plays a Royal Navy captain and a lesbian, but, so be it. And I have to say, Miller as a self-aggrandizing movie star rang true, as did Beecham as a nurse. So 2 for 3. And again, Scarlett Johansson, she doesn't give bad performances. I just thought the casting was a little weird. But Thomas, the actress, is a delight whenever she's on screen. So she sort of balances things out in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, I mean, it's hard to come down on something that's, again, such a personal project. I thought the use of brief animated vignettes as flashbacks to when the 3 sisters were little and lost one dad and then another was certainly a choice. As Scarlett Johansson's character's significant other, Frida Pinto from Slumdog Millionaire was good. As Sienna Miller's character's biggest suitor, because she's a movie star, and of course she gets a lot of attention from a lot of people. We have Thibault de Montalembert from Call My Agent. I'm glad he's getting work in English. Those are small parts that contribute to the story. Look, it wasn't bad, but when it was over, when it was over, I felt like I had watched a somewhat schmaltzy co-production by BritBox and Lifetime.
No.
If that's not a particularly ringing endorsement from me, it might actually sound like one to a certain audience. I don't necessarily mean you, Kim, but I'm just saying.
Yes, you do.
My Mother's Wedding is in select theaters. I think you probably enjoy it to an extent.
I can wait for this one, I think, until it comes out on streaming options for free.
I think that's the way to go for people. Yeah, again, good God, I couldn't love Kristen Scott Thomas more as a member of the audience and what have you. But yeah, and it had moments, right? But they were purely charisma generated, I think.
BritBox and Lifetime, that's funny.
Let's get to some other stuff here.
Okay.
Produced in conjunction with a Christian college, Sketch is nonetheless a good all-ages film that does not get all holy roller or spiritual in its story, which happens to be about a bereaved husband and father named Wyatt and how his young daughter Amber and his son Jack deal with the aftermath of their mother's death. So Amber copes with grief by drawing these really dark sketches of monsters. But those sketches begin to terrorize her, her brother Jack, her fellow students, and most of the people in their small town. And so how does such a bizarre thing happen, you may ask? Well, Amber's sketchbook is unceremoniously tossed into a pond near their house by the brother. And the waters of the pond are apparently magical, bringing the girl's rough and, seriously creepy drawings to life. The special effects are creatively done as Amber's sketches emerge from the pond and cause real havoc. I got to say, the tech in this story, notably good, and it was truly a boon to cast comedy vets Tony Hale from Veep as the father, and Darcy Carden from The Good Place callback, as his sister, who was also a realtor trying to sell the family home in the wake of mom's passing. Plus, the youthful actors playing Amber and Jack, Bianca Bell and Koo Lawrence, and particularly Bianca Bell, are not too obnoxious. And I got to say, Miss Bell implies Amber's pain without hammering it. It's not hammy in any way, shape, or form. Director and screenwriter Seth Worley has made a kind of an antic, occasionally frantic, sometimes funny, sometimes sad, and ultimately thoughtful and humane movie with Sketch. It is in theaters as of this week.
Would you call this a horror movie?
No, it's a family film. There are monsters, but they're kind of animated sketches come to life, and it's more amusing than scary. I think it's perfectly okay for kids of a certain age to watch this thing.
All right.
All right. I got to get the knives out. Do you mind? I got to get the knives out.
Bring it. Get them. Sharpen them up.
I've been too gentle with the mediocrity so far. Okay, so Ebony and Ivory is an excruciating, stretched out two-hander, ostensibly meant as a comedy about the collaboration of Paul McCartney and Stevie Wonder on the, get ready with the dinger, puerile, early 1980s call for brotherhood hit single, Ebony and Ivory. It imagines them coming together at Paul's seaside Scottish cottage, but bickering and blithering like, here's a classical reference, Vladimir and Estragon in Eugene Ionesco's absurdist play, Waiting for Godot.
I think we can ding you for that as well. That's a great reference.
As Sky Elobar's Paul and Gil Gex's Stevie go at one another in like increasingly repetitive fashion, Ebony and Ivory came off to me as brutally unfunny, which is not what you want from something billed as a comedy.
Yikes.
There are the tedious running gags about dope smoking, hot chocolate, the genius of these two icons, and a line of frozen breaded vegan foods made by Paul's wife. And none of these things earned more than a smirk and maybe a time check. I kept looking at, my phone. What time is it now? Come on. Anyway, the less said about a nude swim and its aftermath, the better. Apparently, Ebony and Ivory was made by the same guy who brought us the over-the-top serial killer comedy, The Greasy Strangler. And that would be screenwriter-director Jim Hosking. He made a movie titled An Evening with Beverly Luff Lynn that actually featured, get this, Aubrey Plaza, Matt Berry from What We Do in the Shadows, Emile Hirsch, Craig Robinson from The Office, and Jermaine Clement, but received what I would kindly call mixed reviews. So Ebony and Ivory does seem like the sort of out there weirdness that becomes a cult favorite. Or a midnight movie where people show up to revel in the awfulness and shout what passes for dialogue at the screen, Yeah, kind of a lesser Rocky Horror, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, spoiler alert, there is one protracted groan from the Stevie Wonder character that goes on for well over a minute, maybe longer.
God. Awful.
So look, a sense of humor is, as I say, subjective. But I wouldn't want to subject anyone to this, regardless of their sense of humor. Ebony and Ivory is in selected theaters and available for streaming on demand. Let's wrap up with something on Amazon Prime Video, The Pickup. Now, The Pickup is the new Eddie Murphy, Pete Davidson direct to Amazon Prime Video team up, where they play argumentative armored truck drivers targeted by crooks in a plan to steal millions of dollars. And I'm sorry to say that The Pickup earns a put down. The pace is sluggish. There's no comedic chemistry between these SNL vets from different decades. It's Murphy mobile phoning it in, and Davidson at his most feckless. At the heist plot, pedestrian. Laughs, next to none.
Oh,
Keke Palmer plays a smart cookie with a grudge, and to a lesser extent, Eva Longoria, as the wife of Murphy's character, is on board, and they're much more interesting when on screen than the guys. Maybe the gals should do a mismatched buddy action comedy, but this ain't it. Casting note, Andrew Dice Clay plays the profanity-spewing dispatcher of the armored car company, adding very little to the proceedings. And here's something kind of intriguing. It's directed by the wildly inconsistent Tim Story. His good stuff, Barbershop, The Blackening, his mediocre stuff, the first two Fantastic Four movies, the remake of Shaft, and then there's the awful Ride Along, Taxi, Ride Along 2, Think Like a Man, Tom and Jerry. I got to say The Pickup belongs on the negative side of his ledger. Again, it's on Amazon Prime.
Oh, what a bummer for The Pickup. No can do. Well, speaking of streaming options, you have any other streaming items for us?
Well, TV stuff in general, I got to say how excited I am to see Wednesday back.
Okay.
The Addams Family inspired focus on the daughter of Morticia and Gomez, Wednesday Addams, played by Jenna Ortega, was a treat first time around. And now the second season, the first half of it dropped on Netflix. And I'm totally gobbling it up. Tim Burton is the executive producer, directed episode 1 of season 2. And of course, Wednesday is returning to Nevermore Academy, which is her parents' alma mater, where the weird and the wonderful go to get educated. The new principal of Nevermore Academy in season 2 here is Steve Buscemi, who is Wonderful. Nevermore's new music teacher is the lovely and talented Billie Piper, who got her start as an actress on Doctor Who and went on to be in Penny Dreadful and various other things. She's wonderful. Christopher Lloyd, who played an Uncle Fester in one of the remakes of The Addams Family, is here as a very strange new teacher at Nevermore. And Joanna Lumley plays Morticia's mom, Hester Frump. So they're all new in the cast, and it's got the same macabre hilarity as season 1 from the looks of it. Big thumbs up to Wednesday. Back and being like vile and macabre on Netflix. And, you know, I would be remiss if I didn't say how much I have been enjoying I guess we'd call it the return of King of the Hill with 10 new episodes on Hulu after, I don't know, almost 15 years. And this is season 14, but there's a big time jump, as one would maybe expect. Usually characters in animated shows are ageless, right? You know, Bart Simpson is still, you know, in elementary school, as is Lisa, for instance.
Sure.
But in King of the Hill, the Hills, Hank Hill, propane salesman, and his wife, Peggy, a substitute teacher, have gone off to Saudi Arabia, where he got a job with Aramco, doing his life's work and mission, selling propane and propane accessories. And they're finally back. They lived in kind of a very American community in Saudi Arabia. Their son, Bobby, is now 21, and he came back early to pursue his dream, which is to become a chef of a fusion restaurant, which he has opened in Dallas. It's a Asian German fusion. I guess the axis of flavor is what he refers to it as. And Japanese and German. Anyway, I got to tell you, most of the voice actors are back. We've lost a couple of them, unfortunately, and those characters don't show up. Brittany Murphy, who was the kind of shiftless niece, Luann. Brittany Murphy departed this mortal coil. Luann is not back, and her boyfriend, played by Tom Petty, Petty's gone. But most of the rest of the cast is back, and it's modern, and you see Hank and Peggy dealing with the changes in American culture, a lot of them digital, that have come into our everyday lives since they have been away. And, you know, it's kind of occasionally heartwarming too. Anyway, it's really good in my book. King of the Hill, back on Hulu.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. You want to do the recap?
You go.
All right. Weapons, the movie Weapons. You loved that Marvel movie actors all came together for this one. You said it's a fright fest and a mystery that slays. You liked Weapons. Freakier Friday, you called it good of kind. It does what it is meant to do. And you said it's not terrible. It's a good movie if you're looking for a diversion, but it's not winning any awards, this one. That was your thought of Freakier Friday.
It's totally product, Kim.
Yeah, and people will go see it. You know, it's already, they're estimating it'll make a bunch of money at the box office. My Mother's Wedding, you said it's a mishmash with odd casting. You said it wasn't bad, but I love how you said it was kind of BritBox meets Lifetime. That is My Mother's Wedding. Meh. Sketch, you said it's funny and it's sad and it's thoughtful, and you really like this one. Sketch, you recommend it as a family movie. Ebony and Ivory, unfortunately, this is where the knives came out, and you said it's brutally unfunny. That the only reason people might like this movie is to celebrate its awfulness. You say, skip Ebony and Ivory, it's bad. The Pickup, it's on Amazon Prime, not in theaters, but you said it's slow pace. Chemistry is off here. It is not funny. This movie, no bueno. Avoid The Pickup. Even though it's streaming on Amazon Prime, don't click on that button.
No, it's a bit of a chore. It's not so much that it's slow moving, but it's just, you know, you want so much more. And again, kudos to Kiki Palmer and Eva Longoria, who do their best, but the guys just seem to check out.
As far as Wednesday, which has just come out, season 2, you're really liking it. You say yes, watch this. And King of the Hill, season 14, after a really long hiatus, is back. You see, it's fun to see the cartoon characters age, and you're all for King of the Hill 2025 revival. And there you go.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's it.
Are we going to see sports this weekend? What are we doing this weekend?
Well, I will be tonight. I think I'm going to stay in for at least the first part of the evening to watch the Giants versus the Washington Nationals, which I can get here in Los Angeles. And then tomorrow it's the Art Gallery, Think Space, and I'll be dancing at Club TG for the Panther Club, that rock and soul revival DJ gig that I go to every so often. And speaking of music, I just have to do a little shout out to my man, Tom Kenny, the great comedian and voice actor. He's also a terrific band leader and singer. His group, Tom Kenny and the High Seas, totally rocked the Farmers Market and the Grove last night with an outdoor 2-set show that just had people dancing and cheering.
Wow.
Tom is the real deal, man. I love the man.
Fun. Well, in between all that dancing and sporting and museuming, find Michael Snyder at thevoicesf.org, where you can find his writings and musings. That's thevoicesf.org. Thank you, Michael Snyder. Appreciate you.
Very welcome. Back at you, Kim. We'll check in with you and Mark next week.
He comes and goes on a rainbow. Bye, Michael Snyder.
Bye.
Bye. All right, we're giving some people to thank before we end the show. First, it was Richard Delamater who popped in with a couple bucks and saying, March Mercs, wait for it, tie-dye shirts. Ooh, good idea, especially with the new theme. Getmarkmerch.com is the website, but there's a new theme of kind of, counterculture, resist. So I think that would really work out. Lucy McAllister, clearly our favorite McAllister, with 20 bucks. Thank you for contributing to the show, Lucy. You always support us, and we're very, very grateful. And, you might be missing a C in your last name, but I still love you.
Thank you.
Harry Magnan with $5. Woo! Thanks for waiting till I got here to start the show. Jim Eaton with a couple bucks as well. While Mark is away, Kim and Albert will play. And yes, we have. Wes coming up with $5. The harsh part is friends of these people's children probably see this, and it's harder on them. You're talking about the South Park episode, I believe, in that case. Chaplain Fred, $10. I honestly think Kristi Noem looks like Megan 2.0. South Park is funny, but very dark at the same time. I don't know who. Oh, Megan. I think you meant Megan, that horror movie character. Probably.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Chaplain Fred. She definitely looks creepy, that is for sure. And then CBD pops in with 20. Can't afford it, but still want to give special thanks for a great Friday show. Kim and Albert, love you both. Now go watch some South Park. Well, thank you, CBD, for the contribution. This is a crowdfunded show. We can't do it without you. We rely on you. And so the fact that you guys come forward and help us out, just so appreciate it. You can find the PayPal and the PayPal links at themarkthompsonshow.com, themarkthompsonshow.com, and they're in the show description as well. So thank you for all the support you give us. Speaking of support, yesterday Mark did an interview with Liz Oyer, who was the pardon attorney for the United States. Great interview. If you have the wherewithal to share the interview so more people see it, great, because it was really, really well done and a lot of great information, and we're hoping to get a wider audience on that one. Albert, thank you for being here. Thank you for all the pictures and for running the show and doing everything.
Thank you. And I do think we have a message from Mark to end out the show and end out the week.
Let's do it. What does he have to say?
I'm confident that it was a great show. Thank you all for being here. I know, so much talent, so little time. The culture blaster, the politics, Kim with her chit, and Albert still living in the halo of his birthday celebration of last night.
Albert, thank you.
Yeah, very, very special. So I'm looking.
I'd be willing to bet my lunch that there's alcohol involved.
It reminds me of Florida, too. So, yeah, there's a lot there. Share the show with your friends. If you don't have friends, please Go out, make friends so that you can share the show. All right? Back Monday with a right-winger who's one of the youngest journalists working today, and we're going to have a wild conversation. So
I'm Shadow Stevens for the Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
yeah, he's a hard right-winger, so we'll see how it goes.
Out of time. Bye-bye.
Out of time. Thanks, everybody. Have a good weekend, and until Monday, bye-bye.